Hello, beautiful. I'm your host, Nicole Goff. Welcome to the Ecstatic Life Podcast, the podcast for women who want it all: health, wealth, freedom, authenticity, love, beauty, all of the hidden gems just waiting to be uncovered. This is the podcast for women who are ready to discover their inner creatrix, to discover their inner manifester, and who want to find the ecstatic in every day. Hello there, and welcome back to the Ecstatic Life Podcast. Today, I wanted to hop on to do a quick solo recording to talk about my ecstatic habits. So these are my daily habits that I have been using for the past couple of years. I've really, for the past about 3 years, been building up this habit stack. So a habit stack is taking one good for you healthy habit and stacking another one on top of it and another one on top of it, building up. And so what you end up with is this comprehensive, really like holistic wellness routine by incorporating one at a time, little easy to accomplish habits. And all of these things, they add up to have really humongous health benefits. And so for me, like I said, I coined these my ecstatic habits. These are the habits that have made my days just so much more joyful, my life so much more easeful. My health is just vastly, just dramatically improved. And so this has been, so starting 3 years ago, a little more than 3 years ago, when I was pregnant with my fifth child, and I had just pretty much hit this wall where I couldn't do it anymore. My health, my mental health, my emotional health, like everything was feeling extremely rocky. I was getting sick all the time. I mean, like literally every bug that came my way, and having so many kids, of course, bugs are coming my way all the time. And, running a homeschool co-op and also running a not-for-profit community center. I was just, constantly exposed to things. I was overworking myself. I was giving to my entire community, to my family, trying to show up as a good wife, trying to learn to be a more surrendered wife, to try to teach myself to get out of the programming, the feminist programming that I had grown up with, and, trying to show up better for my husband, I had always been showing up, number one, full for my children, but all of this giving to my community, I was exhausted and I was burnt out. And then when I became pregnant with my fifth, which was a surprise pregnancy, I thought I was done, and I was almost 40. I really hit this wall where I was like, something has to change. I felt just ready to jump out of my skin. I felt just on edge and tense. And a lot of it, I blamed my husband. He didn't help enough. He was, gone too much or preoccupied or, all these things. I tried to blame him, that it was all his fault, or my life circumstances. We don't make enough money. We live in the country, all these things. It was all this external stuff. And what I came to realize when I really took a step back and I started doing some more internal work was that I was not caring for myself. And so it's one of those things that when you're not loving yourself, when you're not showing up for yourself, when you're not caring for yourself, it's actually really hard for the people who love you and the people around you to do that. So I was martyring myself in a lot of ways. And I had this programming that told me it was selfish to care for myself, that, if I wasn't giving and doing, I wasn't good enough. And I had also learned a habit of running away from pain because of trauma that I had experienced. And so I had a habit of, disassociating from pain or running away from pain, getting away from it rather than facing things head on. And so all of this really combined for me to be experiencing very low health. I was like bloated and groggy all the time, and holding on to extra weight that I couldn't lose, and like dark circles under my eyes and bags under my eyes constantly. And, basically, I just didn't even recognize the woman that I saw in the mirror anymore. I wasn't doing what I loved. I wasn't taking care of myself. And it was showing up, externally, physically for me. And so I started with, just creating some me time. I started with taking a bubble bath. And I know if you've been listening to me for a little while, you've probably heard me tell this story a bunch of times now, but it was that first thing, that one thing where I was like, okay, I am going to lock myself in the bathroom for a half hour every night and take a bubble bath by myself. No kids are allowed in the bathroom. No disruptions. I told my husband, this is my me time to relax, to care for myself. And that was where it started. So that would have been the first habit in my habit stack. And that one act of caring for myself cascaded, and I began to add more and more daily habits to my habit stack. And as I learned and grew and explored different modalities, I started following a lot of various podcasts and people online. Took some courses. I took several health coaching courses. And as I started learning more, as I started learning more practices and finding the ones that really aligned for me and the ones that truly helped, I started creating this routine. And so from this, my ecstatic habits, which I have, I've made myself a visual representation of it. And I have like a picture for each one printed out, and it's on my wall. So it's easy to remember. I created this morning routine. So it says ecstatic habits, morning routine. And then I have each one with a visual representation so that when I get up, I can really easily remind myself. I also even put these down in my planner. So when I'm doing my planner for the next day, I write. I write down, wake up at 6 a.m., meditate in the sauna, which might seem silly. Like, why like schedule that? But it helps to solidify it for that next day so that I know that I am planning on doing that. I'm more likely to execute on it. And I go through this at night, at the end of the night, before I go to bed. I go through my schedule, what I plan on doing. And when, I don't always, I don't always do this with, I've got my 5 kids and my soon to be son-in-law and my grandson all in the house now. The older ones moved back in with me recently temporarily. So it's a bit of, it's chaos at the moment in my house. So, there are days where shit does not happen. I'm scattered and I'm getting to bed late. And, I can really tell the difference though. The days that I don't do this kind of planning, that I don't schedule it out, that I don't make sure I make time for this habit routine, for this self-care, health habit routine, I feel the difference. And so it really does help to plan it out, to schedule it out, to put it down, to make it a non-negotiable. And so what I do, this is the routine that I have developed. And that is to wake up in the morning and to start with meditation and breath work. So the reason for this is that when you're still kind of in that veil between your sleep and waking, that is one of the best times for meditation. That is one of the most profound times for meditation and for breath work. You can really like tap into your subconscious a lot more easily during this period of integration. And so that can be a really, really helpful time to do things like manifestation and these kind of practices where you're tapping into a subconscious or a higher self. It can be very helpful to do them in that transition. So when right before bed and right upon waking, those transitions between sleep, when you're kind of in between the veil, are a very good time to do that. So Every morning, I try to wake up and I do meditation and breath work. And the goal is to, most mornings, I don't do this every morning because I don't know that the sauna necessarily is good for you every single day. And also, maybe I just don't have time or I don't wake up in time every single day. But usually, every other day, I get up and I get into my sauna. And so I do my meditation and my breath work in the sauna while I do like a half hour to 45-minute sweat. And that is super powerful. Those days when I get that done, man, I feel on top of it. And so I try to get that done before my kids get up. And that's been super helpful to just to get that me time, to get that alone time. So I also try to do some core and pelvic floor exercises during that period of time. After my saunas, I always go straight into the shower because you want to wash away all those toxins off of your body that you sweated out. And so a lot of times I'll either do my uh, some of my core and pelvic floor stuff in the sauna or in the shower to save time. I also do a lymphatic massage every day, and again, I'll do that in the sauna or in the shower to save time. So in this like habit stacking, if you can find a way to do multiple things at a time. So I do breath work and meditation, sweating, my sauna, core and pelvic floor exercises, which these are like very simple exercises, Kegels and hyperpressives. But I try to do those every day. It's been really helpful. I had a prolapse. I had pelvic prolapse after 5 kids, and so this has been really, really helpful with the pain and I was experiencing like a little bit of urgency and incontinence and pelvic floor and vaginal pain. And so it's really, really helped with that. That's been definitely a game changer and just really simple, like 10 minutes or less a day. And it's changed a ton. And also lymphatic massage. So the daily lymphatic massage is another thing that I feel like has been so key to my overall health. And I have a routine that I do. I do a facial massage. So first you do the facial massage to drain the lymph fluid from your face. And then you do a full body massage. And again, this takes like 10 minutes. It's not something, the whole routine only takes 10 minutes for me, approximately. I mean, I can get away with 5 minutes sometimes, and sometimes when I have extra time, 15, 20 minutes, but about 10 minutes. So about 10 minutes of core and pelvic floor, about 10 minutes of the self massage, lymphatic drainage, and those things I can do all while I'm in the sauna. I can also do my meditation and breath work while I'm in the sauna. So it's like, killing three birds with one stone right there. And so then I try to get in after that. If the kids have not woken up yet, I try to get in some intuitive movement after my shower. And so that would either be like some kind of yoga flow or a dance. Sometimes if the kids are up, it's harder to get in some kind of a yoga flow. Sometimes I'll just put on music and just dance it out with the kids. If I don't get that time, a lot of times I'll try to find time later in the day because I feel like those things really help me to stay centered and grounded and to be in my body and to feel happy and to release emotions, to allow the emotional alchemy to happen, to really regulate my nervous system. So if I don't get those things in the morning in my me time, I try to find times throughout the day, later in the day too, or to go to a yoga class or to go to an ecstatic dance, it's something more structured. But some kind of intuitive movement is definitely a part of my ecstatic habits routine. So after I've gotten all that in, hopefully I have had free time without kids to do all of those things. I've gotten my meditation and my breath work and my sauna and my lymphatic massage and all of that, my core and pelvic floor, my intuitive movement. Then I go on to what I call adorning myself. So, one of the habits that I have taken up is to try to dress myself up a little bit every day. I had gotten in a very bad habit of just that like messy bun, yoga pants, like hot mess mom look. And I feel like that was not good for my psyche. Like that was not good for me on a self confidence or an emotional level. It was like, being embarrassed of how I was showing up was holding me back from being like the fullest, the bigger expression of me, the more alive expression of me. Because, I, and part of it, when you have kids, it's like, well, it's just going to get messed up anyways. Like, why bother putting on a cute shirt? Because the baby's just going to spit up on it, or somebody's just going to spill chocolate milk on me, or whatever. So, why bother? But even if I am just going to be around the house, like I have actually gone through and thrown away a lot of my clothes that were those just around the house clothes, the ones that I didn't want to be seen out in public in. But sometimes because I was in a hurry or, whatever, I would leave the house in them, taking the kids to karate or whatever. And I've got my yoga pants with the stain and the rip in them. And I'm like, embarrassed when I'm like looking down going, oh my gosh, people are seeing me like this. So I threw all that kind of shit away. I got rid of all of it. And even like my pajamas or my around the house stuff is still like decent now. And I feel like that has really helped me. Like I dress myself in a way that if someone just popped in, I wouldn't feel embarrassed about the way I look. And so making that part of my habit stack, while it might seem superfluous or silly, has actually been really good for me. So good for my self-confidence, good for my emotional well-being. And so after I do my facial massage and my lymphatic massage, I like to put on some kind of good smelling oils. I have a different collection depending on my mood of essential oils. And depending on, what I'm feeling that day, whether it's more like spicy or more sensual or whatever, I put on essential oils. And then I put on something that, depending on what I'm doing. Today I dressed up more because I knew I was going to be doing recording. If I know I'm going to be doing housework all day, I will probably just put on, a jeans and a t-shirt kind of thing, but it's not stuff that I feel sloppy in. And I've been trying to wear some jewelry. Occasionally I put on a tiny bit of makeup. I'm not a big makeup person, but it's just those little simple acts of self-love to show that I care for myself really have helped a lot. And I think this contributes to my overall health in the fact that I'm feeling happier and more confident as well. So after all that routine, hopefully all that gets done while the kids are asleep, I generally move into my day. And, that's taking care of the kids, making breakfast, all of those kind of things, homeschool stuff. But I try to, the very first thing that I consume in the morning is something high fat and high protein. And so that's another habit that I feel like has really improved my health a lot. I generally make some either, I'm trying not to do caffeine. That's a habit I've been trying to overcome for a long time. So I'll do like a decaf coffee, or I do a hot cacao drink or a hot tea. Sometimes I do matcha. And I always put protein powder, either bone broth powder or a collagen powder. And then I put some kind of good fat, coconut oil or ghee are the two that I mainly do. And so it makes that first hot drink that I have in the morning like a protein and fat bomb. And it's satiating and it fuels your brain and it just really sets you up to have such a good day. When you start the day off with sugar, and especially so many things are like oats and sugar or wheat and sugar. So it's like carbs with processed sugar on top of it, cereals, granola bars, oatmeal, all these things. It's like setting you up to have a crash, to have a sugar crash. and setting you up to like end up with these mood swings. And so it's terrible for women to start out that way. And so I like to, like I said, the first thing I do, I have some kind of a hot drink with that fat and protein bomb in it. And it really is satiating. And it helps me to not binge on those carbs. And I think just implementing that, like I lost several pounds just by doing that, without changing anything else in my diet. And then when I do eat, I try to make it something like, sweet potatoes, one of the things I like to have for breakfast. I do granolas that are grain free. I make just nuts and seeds and, have that with like almond milk or something like that. Those kinds of things, and not start the day off with this like sugar bomb, this carbohydrate bomb that is just, it's like literally a ticking time bomb. You're gonna have a sugar crash and you're going to want to binge and your mood is going to drop. It's just such setting. And we do this to our kids too, and I mean, I still am still bad about letting them get up and have cereal sometimes when it's in the house. But yeah, it seems like breakfasts have been so hijacked. But eggs is another really good one to have first thing in the morning. So yeah, getting back to those like more traditional breakfasts instead of cereal. So other habits that I have incorporated would be 12-12 fasting. I do 12-12 fasting with food. So I only eat for 12 hours of the day, and then I take a break for 12 hours. So that helps your body to be able to properly digest and to repair. It's very important. When we have nighttime snacks, especially, it messes up our circadian rhythm, and it really can throw your whole body off because you're not having that time for cellular repair. When you're digesting, you're not able to do the healing that you need to do. So I take a 12-hour break from digestion every day. I also take a 12-hour break from screen time. So occasionally lately, with how much I've been pushing for creating my business, I have found myself picking up my phone after my off time, and that's been a little bit of a challenge. And I'm thinking I'm going to have to go back to setting time limits on my phone, because I have broken my own rule several times recently. But I try to have a 12-hour screen detox. So no movies, no laptop, no cell phone. When I first started this, I put a time limit app on my phone, so that a screen time app on my phone, like you do with kids, so that I couldn't turn it on past 8:30 at night. And then I weaned myself off of that. I got used to it. Like I said, lately it's hard. It's so hard. You hear that little notification bell where, like Pavlov's dog, we're just programmed to pick it up. What is it? Could be important. Could be somebody wanting coaching. So that habit has been it's been difficult because the screens are addictive. They are very addictive. Food is addictive. Food can be addictive depending on the way we eat. So these things can be harder to incorporate, but they have definitely really, really improved my health and my mental health, my well-being, my emotional well-being. Other habits I've incorporated: trying to get morning sun first thing in the morning, going outside, stepping out and bare feet on the earth, grounding and getting early morning light. And again, in the evening, trying to catch the evening light. So that really helps to regulate your circadian rhythm and help you sleep good. I also have a whole habit stack around sleep that I have started very briefly. I reset my circadian rhythm over a year ago, and I have done this routine ever since then. And it has been such a game changer. Like I had insomnia for so many years, like for most of my life. Since I was a teenager, I had insomnia, and resetting my circadian rhythm has just been such a game changer. And I'm going to be doing a full podcast about that. But just really briefly, I don't expose myself to screens at night. I lower the temperature in my bedroom. I keep devices out of the bedroom. I keep, the internet and everything far away. I slowly lower the lights in the evening. So to kind of mimic the way the sun goes down. Like I said, I don't eat before bedtime. So there's a whole routine that I've developed around going to sleep. And that has been also super healing for me. So all of these things combined, all of these little habits stacked. And I didn't just like jump into it and just change everything and do all of this at once. I slowly incorporated these little self-care routines, these little self-care habits as I learned them. And then I learned, like I said, how to combine them, how to compress the time so that I could get multiple things done at once. And they have become habitual. It's like brushing your teeth. Like you don't think about brushing your teeth. It's just you get up, you brush your teeth, you get ready for bed, you brush your teeth. It just has become a habit, something that we do. But brushing your teeth was not always considered normal. Brushing your teeth was not a thing until recent history. And so people had to get used to it. There was actually marketing campaigns to get people to accept brushing your teeth as a daily habit. And so all of these little things, they start out being kind of weird where you literally have to schedule it. You literally have to like set a timer on your phone, a reminder somehow, put a sticky note above your mirror, whatever it is. You have to, get into the habit. But once they become habits, once they become second nature, it's just part of your routine. And there are a couple more things that I would like to tell you about that I have made into habits. And one is to what I call love my money. And so I try to make sure daily to keep an eye on my money, to check in on my money, to do one little positive money making or money saving thing every day, whether that is cancel a reoccurring bill or to move some money to savings or these little things, rather than sitting down and trying to like tackle your finances all at once. Every day I try just to set aside 5 or 10 minutes a day to get on my bank account, to get on my credit cards, and to do something money positive and or something money making. So every day I try to love my money a little bit because money is energy. It's currency. And one other thing that I've made a habit that I do every single day that I think has been such a huge needle mover in my life is to do gratitude and manifestation practices every single day. So this is part of my nightly routine and I've gotten my kids involved now. We all say we have a 3-part kind of meditation that we go through. And some people call it the rose, thorn, and bud meditation. So we talk about the rose, the best thing that has happened to us today, the things we're grateful for. And each of us name at least one thing we're grateful for. And we talk about the thorns of our day, the hardest thing that happened today, and what lessons we learned or what lessons we can take away from that. And then the bud, what we hope for tomorrow. And my little ones, this started with tell me what you want to have sweet dreams about. And so we would do manifestation through describing what we'd want to have sweet dreams about. And so this has kind of evolved with me and my older kids to actually manifest what we hope for the next day. And so this practice is gratitude and manifestation right before bed. Again, like I said in the beginning, catching that window where you're in that state between wakefulness and sleeping. That is a really, really powerful time of the day. So right before bed, being able to say those things, getting in that feeling too. So expressing the gratitude and feeling the gratitude, feeling the hope of the new day is super powerful. So that has been, I think that manifestation practice has contributed to how much I have grown in my life circumstances. So many things have shifted and changed. And I believe that practice of manifestation and gratitude, being grateful for what you have, and then also being expansive and ready for what is to come has been so helpful. So I hope these ecstatic habits have made some kind of impact on you. And this is like opened you up to maybe starting your own habit stack. I am in the process of creating a whole workshop around the ecstatic habits. I have one part of it started, which is detox. Didn't even get into that. I've done other podcasts on that. I'll link them. Detoxing regularly is another part of my habit stack. And part of that is the lymphatic drainage and the sauna and all that. So that's been a big part of it. So I've released that part. I'll link that in, and there will be full tutorials on the whole Ecstatic Habits program coming soon. So if you have any more questions, feel free to reach out for me, or if you want help creating your own ecstatic habits routine, I would be so happy and honored to work with you. Until next time, bye.